Tell us a little bit about who you are and your job.
My name is Jim McCarthy. I'm the founder and owner of Saltbox Financial. We're independent investment advisors. And basically I help people with their money, so I pay attention to what's going on in the financial news every day.
How have you seen the banking crisis affect average people?
I think it made people nervous because the banks didn't do their jobs of lending out money properly. So it made it a boom and bust cycle. When things were really good, they were very, very good, and when they went bad, they went bad. So I think it inflated house prices beyond where they should have been, and now we're dealing with all the downside of that.
In your opinion, how did the banking crisis start?
A lot of people want to make it seem that it was just the banks that were the problem, but it wasn't just the banks. But the banks' part in it was they didn't do their primary job, and the bank's primary job is to take all the money they have and find good projects and loan it out and make sure that the projects are going to happen and that they'll be profitable. So the banks didn't do their primary job of making sure that the money that they were giving people was for the right purpose, and that they were charging the right amount, and that they were going to get the money back.
Okay. What factors do you think will affect if the banking crisis gets better or not?
Well, there's been a lot of, the government's made a lot of new rules. Of course, since it's such a big issue, the government got involved, and first of all, the banks basically didn't have enough money left in the vault, so the government first of all made sure there was plenty of money including printing it, and then they made a lot of regulations, so hopefully the same thing didn't happen again. Actually, there used to be a lot of regulations, and in the last few years we've slacked off the regulations, and we're paying for it. So the government is putting a lot of regulations in place to try and not let the same thing happen again.
How do you think we should solve the banking crisis?
I think the banks should be held responsible for their primary job, and that is to take in money, keep enough extra in the vault, and then assess the risk of each project they loan the money for. And if it's a risky project, they should charge more, and if it's less risky, charge less. And then if they make bad judgments, they should not leave the government and the people holding the bag for bad decisions they made. They should go out of business.
Thank you.
Can you give us a brief summary of what the banking crisis is?
Well, that's how you fix the banking crisis. So the banking crisis basically they didn't do their primary responsibility. So they took in the money, they kept just the bare minimum that they were supposed to keep in the bank. Sometimes they didn't do their accounting quite right, so it looked like on paper it was okay, and the accounting wasn't quite right. And then they loaned out money to people, and they assumed that all the risks were the same, and they weren't the same. They loaned money to people that couldn't possibly pay the money back, and so they didn't do their primary job. So they failed on a lot of fronts. They took in the money, they didn't keep enough in the vault, even though they might say they did legally, and then they didn't look at each loan and see how much risk was in it and price the loan that way. That's the entire banking crisis.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.